Hi, everyone. Okay, everything looks like it's working. Got my hair in a ponytail because I mean business tonight. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am so excited to see so many of you here this evening. Thank you for joining me on Friday night. I was lurking in the chat for just a couple of minutes before the live stream started, and I saw we've got a lot of new folks here tonight. So this is your first time catching me live. Welcome. Hello. I hope you have a wonderful Friday evening. We like to just kind of keep things a little chill, a little silly, a little fun on Friday nights. This is our way to kick off the weekend, which in my perfect world would be a weekend sitting in front of the sewing machine, but that's not always what we get. So we're gonna rub my eye because it itches. All right. Leslie Kendall says, hey, I caught the live. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and give you an update on Hexis because last week, if you joined me for my live stream or caught the replay, you heard me talking about doing a collab with you. That's right, you the viewer. I want to make a Hexi quilt using Hexis that you guys send in to me. And so I did get a couple of small packages. One of them wasn't so small, but I did get some Hexis in the mail and I want to show those off to you and show you the progress that I've made tonight on my Hexi quilt. I've kind of got two going, right? So let's go to that overhead camera and I'll give you a rundown on where we are. So first up, my Halloween Hexi. Remember, these are Hexis that I put together using the Hey Boo fabric from Lalo Boutique. And I took 3 mini charms to build out all of these 1-inch Hexis. And I am proud to say that all of my Hexis are now sewn together. I am trying to decide when I put them together if I'm going to just lock them in or surround them with a little bit of negative space before I join them so that I can keep some of the design elements together instead of just having everything be chaotic and scrappy. And I'm about 95% that I want to put a background around these because I feel like otherwise it's just going to look like a scrappy Hexi quilt, which isn't bad, but what I really intended for are little flowers. And if I add some more Hexis to it, I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger. This is definitely not going to be a big quilt at all, but there you go. Secondly, I got a package in the mail this week. And so, as you know, my friends are sending me Hexis. And so I've got 2 Hexis from my friends. This is the one that I got from my friend Gwendolyn, and I got this one from my friend Kim. You guys have already seen this one. I've already showed it off. But I did get some Hexis from Helen up in Michigan. She sent me pre-basted Hexis for me to stitch together, and so I've got both of those here. I was able to work on them in the evenings this week, and I just finished up this one about a half an hour before the live, so they are all sewn together. I'm really excited for that. And then another lady, I have her name written somewhere else, but she was kind enough to send me an AccuQuilt die in exchange for some fabric out of my stash. You know who you are. And these are all the fabrics that she had already pre-cut and put down in the package with it. I believe I'm getting that right. And so all of these are going to be basted eventually, and I'll put them into my Hexi box and I'll pull them out and start making Hexis with them. So if you are one of the folks that want to collab with me and you want to send me some Hexis, here's what you need to do. I would like pre-basted 1-inch Hexis. You can baste them with or without the paper. Last week I said you had to leave the paper in it, please, but you don't have to. If you know a way to baste them without the paper and you are confident that those edges of the Hexis are only going to be 1 inch, feel free to do it that way, whatever works for you. You can just drop them in the mail. Don't bother sewing them together. You can just put them in a regular envelope with the stamp on it and toss it over to my P.O. box. And when I get those, I will show you which Hexis I get on Friday night, and then we'll work on putting them together, or I'll put them into a quilt, and you'll get to see the progress. So Mary says, I hope to have my Hexis done and in the mail to you this weekend. Awesome. Justine Martin says, I use jelly rolls and a plain background if you use 2-inch squares cut out of a jelly roll strip. That's awesome. Lori says, Auntie L Handmade says, mine went in the mail today. Woohoo! I'm going to get some more Hexis. So yeah, that's going to be great. That's really all the updates that I have for Hexis, and really all the updates that I have. So let's just talk about the project that I'm going to be working on today. I'm going to put together, dun, 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 where's the picture? I'm going to be putting together the Porch Rails quilt from Fabric Café, and I'll bring that in a little bit closer. I had 3 fabrics that I knew I wanted to use for a 3-yard-ish quilt. And I say 3-yard-ish because I picked 3 fabrics and I purposefully got at least 1.5 yards of each one, because I always feel like I end up being short when it comes to 3-yard quilts. I need just a little bit extra sometimes, or I want to make it a little bit bigger by adding another row or another column, or sometimes both. And so I knew to size up already before I jumped into the 3-yard quilt. So while we are out doing our shop hop, Mary, Ian, and I saw at the Krabby Quilter this beautiful fabric bundle that featured this crab print. Now, this is a fabric that the Krabby Quilter has custom printed for their shop. They are in Annapolis, Maryland. If you want to check them out, you go over to their website. You might be able to buy this online, though I don't know. They did have lots of bolts made of this. They made it last year, ran out of it, and so they did a ton this year. I got 2 yards of it, and I'm already wishing I would have got more. They had these in 3-yard bundles with a dark blue and a tan, but I didn't want to buy 2 3-yard bundles, and I wasn't really sure I wanted to use their fabric that they had picked. It was just kind of like a solid. I wanted a little bit more texture to my batiks, so I went with the same color scheme. I got this blue, this sand, and this crab fabric, and so that's what I'm going to be using to put together my quilt tonight. And then there wasn't very much of this one left, but I felt like it went really well with the quilt. So I'm kind of thinking this might be my binding. All right, so let me show you what we're going to be doing today. We're going to go to the face camera, and you can kind of see it hanging up behind me. I already started on this quilt. As I was prepping and starching the fabric, I sewed the first 3 rows together. And so all this really is a strip set subcut into blocks that are the same size as my focal fabric. And that's it. And in the even rows, you're going to make those strip sets go up and down. And in the odd rows, you're going to make the strip sets go side to side. There's some tricky things that you can do to give it another secondary look, or make a secondary design pop out when you start adding the borders. I don't know that I'll get to the borders tonight. My goal is to get the center of that quilt top put together. And because I already started, I think I might actually accomplish it. So we're going to go over to our camera setup, and I'm going to show you the first step. Michelle the Quilter says, the fabric choices are great. They are, aren't they? So the first step in the pattern is to make a strip set. And so you need 2 of your dark and 1 of your light. These are strips that are cut by width of fabric. I'm not going to give you the cutting instructions. You got to buy the pattern for it. And I do have the pattern linked in the description box down below, and it's just been dropped into the live chat as well. And so the strip set is going to look like this when we put it together. So to build out our strip set, I'm just going to line up the raw edges of each of my width of fabric strips. I do have a seam guide on my machine that'll help me stay nice and straight at 1/4 inch. And then I'm just going to sew all the way along this long edge. And every so often I might stop to adjust just slightly to make sure that my raw edges right along here are still lined up. Lori said, is this yet another project that we can't have the dimensions for? I really hate these. What do we as subscribers get from them other than just watching someone sew? Listen, it's not my pattern. I can't sell it, but I'm talking you through, Lori, how to put this together. If this was my pattern, it would be a different story. It's not mine. But if you pay attention, you can learn the techniques that I'm doing, and those techniques can be put together to make this your own. Does that make sense? I'm sorry that that's not what you were expecting to see. I hope you have a wonderful evening anyway. So I'm just going to sew along this strip set. Hello, Holly. She says, I'm running late. Hi, everyone. Hoping you're having a grand Friday. Jonathan said, we're just here for the company. All right. And the reason why I'm showing you how I'm sewing this strip set together is because I've heard a lot of people say that when they're putting strip sets together, they can be a little bit wonky, and they have different ways that they handle them. I've heard some folks talk about how they alternate whether they start at one end or stop at one end. So it just kind of twists and turns. I don't really have a problem with that. And the reason why, I think, is because, as you've noticed, when I'm feeding this through my sewing machine, I'm not pulling, I'm not giving any attention to it. The feed dogs are doing all of the work. All my little hands are doing is just hanging out down here and keeping the fabric going in straight. And when I say straight, I'm making sure that it keeps hitting up against this edge of my seam guide. I'm not going to be able to do anything once the fabric is underneath the presser foot or underneath the needle. So what I'm really looking for is to make sure that it's straight or just before it hits that presser foot, if that makes sense. Hey, Tiffy. Hello. You guys, if you haven't checked out Tiff's channel, don't forget to do so. She does a lot of wonderful things over there, and I'm sure she'd love your support as well. And she'll be on the cruise with us next year, so that'll be a lot of fun. All right, so I've just finger pressed all of this fabric over to the dark blue. And then I'm going to turn it around and grab my blue fabric. Now I know that this is the end that I ended at, and I know that because my edges are not perfectly lined up. So in this case, I actually kind of am starting from the opposite end, but I don't always worry about that because, again, I just don't put any tension on this. I just let the feed dogs do all the work, and I'm just making sure that it goes in nice and straight. Hey, and the lady that was asking about free patterns, don't forget that I do have free patterns on my website if you want to do some of those. The one that I'm doing tonight doesn't happen to be mine, though. Sorry about that. I just don't have enough time to be able to design and write patterns for everything that I sew, not with juggling work and a full-time job and all that other stuff. Wished I could, but, you know, life happens. And I'm almost done. All right, I'm going to take my leader and ender, and I'm just going to stitch onto that, snip my thread, and I will heat up my iron. It's not turned on yet, and we're going to go ahead and flip this over. Maureen says, perfect subject for tonight. I'm getting ready to start my red, white, and blue project. I have some beautiful fabric from two wonderful people, so thanks. P.S. Just purchased the pattern. Awesome. Glad. I'm glad that you guys bought the pattern. All right. I'm going to move this out of the way. I will probably have to make another strip set or two. I did only what the pattern called for, but I'm pretty sure it's not going to be enough. So I'm going to go ahead and make it bigger. You guys, by the way, if you're going to make this and you want to make it bigger, go ahead and learn from my lesson. If I tell you, I will share with you, oh, my husband's back. I will share with you what I did to make the center a bit bigger. So right now I have cut everything that the pattern has told me to cut, but I have a feeling I'm gonna need to cut more. And so if I do, I will let you know just how much more I needed to cut, and I will even type it up in the description box for you down below. I am feeling FOMO, must have. I must have. Hello, Donna. Dr. Kathy Smith is here. Hello, hello, hello. Rose Clearwaters is here from Southern Oregon. Hello, hello, hello. Sandy Ryan says, hi, Becca, that fabric is beautiful. I especially like the dark blue and the crab one. I saw Mary's name go by, so hi, Mary. Hello. All right, I'm going to go ahead and subcut these down. There's not a way that I'm going to really be able to do this without you seeing what I'm cutting to, so I'm not telling you. I'm telling you not to look at the camera while I subcut this. I mean, don't look at your monitor. Don't look at your TV. I'm subcutting. Don't look. Now, I will tell you when I'm subcutting my strip sets, what I'm doing is making sure, I want to make sure that my block stays as straight as possible. And so the way I'm going to do that is by putting my ruler on here, and I'm going to check this edge to make sure that it's hitting right up against the mark or the size that I want to subcut to. And then I'm going to look at the fabric here and the fabric here, and I should see the lines on my ruler hitting that seam all the way across. That means that I sewed nice and straight. And then I'll just go ahead and slice through that, set it aside, rinse, lather, and repeat. Pumpkins Patchwork, Julie says hello from Greenville, South Carolina. Hello, Julie. Pamela says, I learned how to sew from watching you and Tiffany sew and all the advice you give. Oh, thank you. Kathy says, well, I need to head out. We'll catch the replay. Have a good night, all. Good night. Have a great weekend. Thanks for stopping in. Oh, and I did say somebody said in the chat that they got my Hexi this week. So yay, I'm glad you got the Hexi. Now, out of my strip set, this is actually scrap. I'm not going to throw that away because that's a pretty good chunk that I could use for something else. So I'm just going to set it aside. All right. Now I've got all of these and a couple more from earlier, and we're just going to start building out our rows. And you can see from the one behind me, the last row that I put on there has the strip sets going up and down. So the next one, I need to alternate it. That means that I'm going to start with my focal fabric and my strip sets are going to go left to right. And so each one of these rows, Cheryl says, you told me not to look, and then I looked. So I'm going to go ahead and grab 5. Each one is 5 blocks. Auntie Carol M says, you're sounding so chipper tonight. Thank you. I've had a pretty solid week. So this is one row. Aw, Melody, thank you so much for the tip. I appreciate that. And then the next row, we're just going to rotate this 90 degrees. And because my fabric is not directional, it doesn't matter whether I do it this way or this way. Waka, waka, waka. But because the last row started with the crab, we're going to start the next one with the strip set. And each one of these rows is 5. So we're going to just count out 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, That's another row. And let's see, I think I have enough for just one more row. I got to start with a crab, 1, 2. I got to start and end with a crab in this row. 3, 4, 5. Okay, now this is using only the fabric that the pattern told me to cut. I can do 3 more rows. So I'm going to put these rows together, which will be exactly what this looks like. So that's the top half. I'm building out the bottom half now, and then I'll combine them together at when I've got all of the rows done, and we'll see if I want to add a bit more length or width or both to it and how I'm going to adjust. I am a firm believer that a pattern is just a starting point. I never really follow the directions all the way through. I know some of you out there do. My friend Mary is a pattern follower. She likes to follow it the way it says to do things. I am not. I want to improvise. And so a lot of times when I'm working on a pattern, like the one I'm working on here, oh, Maureen, thank you so much for the tip. Like the one that I'm working on here, I will try to I will make it my own. So I know the basic instructions for how to put this together because I've been I read through the pattern before I started cutting. But once it's put together, I know how we got the look. It's just the 2 blocks. And so if I need to make it wider or longer, I just make more of the blocks and attach it to the quilt center. I will tell you the other thing that I'm doing is I put this together, and I don't know if the pattern tells you to do this or not, but I am pressing all of my seams underneath the strip set because that's where my darkest fabric is. And also it's going to allow me when I put the strips on, when I attach the strips together, I'm going to be able to nest my seams. And I'll show you what that's all about in just a couple minutes too. Thomasina says, I like the look of the crabs on the fabric, but I especially like to eat them too. You and me both. Am I doing? Yeah, I am doing this right. I had to look at the screen behind me to see if I was putting the strip sets on the right way. Oh, wrong way. I want to press it underneath my strip set, not underneath the crabs. Will you be sending this to Mac to remind her of Ian's generous gift when y'all went out for crabs? Holly is asking. No, I will not. I'm going to keep this one. And that's what you always say, right? You always say, oh, this one's for me. Lies that quilters tell themselves, right? But I have told Mac next time she's here, maybe for Road to Virginia next year, because we all know she'll probably come, we have to do crabs in my area because they were a lot better than the ones that were in Richmond. I told her, I texted her last week or the week before, I told her every time I go into a quilt shop and I saw her book with her face on the cover, I walked up to the book and went, high five, Mac. Oh, so happy that she did that. Like, get it, girl. Girl power, right? All right, I'm going to sew this next row, which is going to be the one that'll go underneath this. We're going to start out with a strip set, and that's going to go up and down, so left to right. Bill says, I'm ready for Alaskan crab. Well, that's a year away, Bill. But who's counting? Oh, Norma, that's a great idea. She says, I make a lot of the Fabric Café patterns for Project Linus. Awesome. Whoop. A year goes by fast, doesn't it? That's right. There we go. Go back to the camera so you guys can see what I'm actually doing. Snippity-doo-dah. Shelby says, I can't lie, Dungeness Crab is my favorite. Miss Joy's one says, hey Becca, I joined your Facebook group and I'm loving the blocks that they're making there. Awesome. Are you doing the sew along with us? I have learned a lesson with the quilt along, guys. I'm going to be honest. Those videos are not performing well anymore. They're not. But I told you we're going to do it every month, and we're going to do it every month. We're going to see 2025 out. You will get all 12 videos and all 12 patterns, but they are not performing great. And I'm hoping that what it is there are folks that are doing it and they've just fallen behind because of summer months and family obligations and things like that. And they'll get back on the bandwagon in the fall. So we'll keep keeping on, and the videos and patterns will be there for folks when they're ready to get caught up. But I think in the future, I might take this as a lesson learned. I don't know if I'll do another 12-month sew along. It'll probably be smaller bits of time. I see some folks are using the exclamation selfie command to drop the link to their channel. Please make sure to do that. I think I saw a couple of folks in here that have channels and are starting out. So this would be a great way to get your content in front of other creative minds that might be looking for something to watch. And Jonathan said, I'm not making the blocks, but I'm still watching the videos. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. All right, we're going to set this row here. And now I'm going to press this with my iron. I've been finger pressing as I go, but I'm just going to set it nice and flat with my hot iron. There we go. And now we're going to do the nesting of the seams. So if you notice, I'm trying to get it in frame here, the blocks are staggered. They're not touching each other. And because I pressed all the seams underneath the strip set, whether the strip set is going up and down or left and right, they're going to be going in opposite directions. And so when I put these right sides together, then I can butt those seams right up against each other with my finger and my thumb, my thumb and my forefinger. I can't talk. And all that means is I'm feeling the bulk of the seams, and they should be perfectly kissing. You can feel it with your thumb and your forefinger. So you're going to roll it around underneath there, and then I'm going to put a pin in through one part of the seam, and I'm going to come up on the other side of that sewn line. You can't really see it, but trust me, that's what I did. I'm going to do that for every seam between each of the blocks. I'm not going to worry about these seams. I'm just doing it where the blocks have seams, where they're joined together. Joan says, I watch the block of the month, and then the block, if I get stuck, I watch the video again. Of course, the last three didn't need any explanation, but I still watched. They didn't. And maybe that's the other thing too. They've been really easy blocks the last three. I know for me, sticking with a sew along for a whole year is a feat. So I'm guessing there are more people out there like me than we care to admit. I'm going to go ahead and put a pin in each of the corners to line up the raw edges of these. And then I'm just going to take this over to my sewing machine. Yep. And I'm going to stitch 1/4 inch. all the way down. As I get to a seam, I'll pull the pin out and hold that seam in until it gets up underneath the presser foot. I'm not giving up on you. I see somebody said, I don't give up on us. Nope, I'm not giving up. The videos and the patterns are still coming. I plan to do them. I'm enjoying doing them. And so if nothing else, I'm enjoying making the content. And maybe in the fall, the videos will pick back up. I just think in the future, next time I do a sew along, I'll reconsider before I draw it out over 12 months. Which I don't think anybody would hate. Hey, 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 Donna. Happy Friday night. Look, Donna, I'm working with crabs. Your favorite. Yum, yum, yum. This quilt's going to look good enough to eat when it's all done. Cheryl says, I broke my arm and can't sew since March, but when I can, I will be doing the blocks again. Well, look who it is, Mennonite Farmhouse. Hi, Leanne, how are you? All right, we're gonna turn it around this way, and I'm just gonna press the seams down, because I think that's what I've been doing for each row. I'm sure the pattern tells you what to do, but again, I figure out what the pattern's trying to tell me to do, and then I'm off and running on my own, and I don't look back. All right. Pressy, pressy, pressy. Pressy, pressy, pressy. Now, if you nested the seams, you should get something that looks like this, where these points are really tight. They're just pointing right next to each other. Don't worry, in the quilt top that's hanging behind me, the 3 rows that I've put together, there might be a seam or two that aren't perfectly lined up, and that's okay. All right, I've got 2 rows, and now I'm gonna come back over here. I'm gonna make this 3rd row, which is gonna go on the bottom. Canterbury says, I'm going to do the quilt along, but I'm collecting my fat quarters, which is slow on my income, so that my quilt is at least somewhat cohesive. That's fine. The videos and the patterns will be out there forever. I have no intentions of taking them down. Do it at your own pace. Doobie doody doo. Clip, clip to clip clue. Bum, 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 dum, dum. I think Donna was talking to me. Congrats on the ribbon. Thank you. This is actually, let's just go to the face camera. So this is my Dragonfly Dance quilt. I call it Whirl of Wings. This was a failed collab. You know how sometimes you have the best of intentions and then things just don't get off the ground? Donna got this pattern from QuiltCon at Raleigh, so a year and a half ago. And she asked me and Tiffany and Fallon from So Be It Quilts if we wanted to put it together as like a YouTuber, content creator collab, right? We all do the same pattern, but in different fabrics. And it just never got off the ground. It just never got off the ground. Just life happened. So she ended up doing hers. I did mine. I think Tiffany did hers as well. And this went to the North Texas Quilt Festival and it won an honorable mention. No worries, Donna. No, no Mary tonight. She is at home enjoying the broadcast from the comfort of her front room, but I'm sure she will be back up here very soon. Very soon? I can't even talk. Very soon. Ah, see, Tiffany did finish hers. Hers is hanging up in her room. There we go. I probably won't enter it for QuiltCon, Donna, because I don't think they'd accept it. Not because it's not great work, but because it's not an original pattern. And I feel like unless you're entering like the Juth exhibit or the Juth, I can't even talk, the youth exhibit or something, I think they prioritize or prefer patterns that are completely unique, not makes that people made from patterns for sale. So I'm not even going to waste my 40 bucks. I'm not even going to do it because they're going to say no. I feel like if I'm going to spend the $40 to enter a quilt to have it considered for QuiltCon, I might as well enter something that is 100% me, my design, my piecing, my quilting. Like, I don't want any other hands on it, not even the design piece. All right. Now that's the third row, and this is going to go on the bottom of the two that we just made. So we're going to nest the seams just like we did before. See ya, Donna. Think she's heading out and getting some rest. A Becca original. That's right, Donna. That's right. A Becca original. Words can be hard this time of night. That's right, Leanne. They sure can. I feel like we should have a slow stitch night. What do you guys think? I really enjoyed doing EPP a couple of weeks ago when we did that, and I showed you about my Hexi addiction. I liked doing that, and I've been thinking about what if one Friday a month or once a quarter or something, what if we just hang out and talk and do a slow stitch? I could bring out some cross stitch to work on, some EPP, or some other hand project and just monitor the chat and watch and do the project. Ashley Springer says, do you do a cruise retreat each year? Well, funny you should ask. More to come. We might be considering our next cruise retreat, and the details for that will come out if we do it later. But I can't confirm anything yet. But it is in the thought process of what our next retreat after the Alaska retreat is going to be. More to come. I think I am leaning more towards another cruise. That's just me for mine, but you can help us. We're going to create a poll. This is something Ian and I and Tiffany and Mary have all had lots of conversation about. Let's do a poll. Let's see. All right, I am going to start a poll and you guys can click on which one you would want. Let's see what you guys have to say. Keep in mind that the prices are probably the same for both. English paper piecing, that's right. Michelle says, I love the idea of a regular slow stitch night. Make it a Disney cruise and I'm crossing the pond. All right, so the bottom of this quilt is now sewn together. I'm going to press the seam down and then we'll sew the bottom half to the top half and see what it looks like. See, we've got 137 votes and 76% are saying land-based retreat. That kind of blows my mind. What is the reason for that? Like the folks that typed out land-based, is that because you don't want to ever go on a cruise, or is it because of cost? Are you assuming that a land-based retreat somewhere would be cheaper? Good night, Melody. All right. This one is a super quick sew. Kate said that was quick. You're right. It was a super, super quick sew. All right, I'm going to grab the top from behind here and we're going to join them together. And this will make the quilt center that the pattern has for us. And I'll decide whether or not it's big enough because I did buy enough fabric to make a bigger cruise. Oh, I'm watching the chat and I'm taking in all of the comments. I hear you. Canterbury says I get seasick. I do too, but not. I don't get motion sick on a boat. Nope, I did not. Flo says, did you hear that Soya is building a quilting retreat center in Alaska? I did not, but good for them. Claudia says, I am doing Starry Nights by Legit Kits, and I sewed all my rows backwards. So I guess Jack and I are having a couch date tonight. Hey, I've been there, done that. Kate said, ha, I could do a mini version of that. You could. Everybody's congratulating Donna for the good news that Joe got from the doctor. So if you guys haven't heard, Joe had some health issues. They found a mass, and the test today, or the test that he got this week, they got back this week, showed it wasn't cancerous. So that's definitely good news. This quilt probably takes about 2.5 hours start to finish, given the time to starch it, cut it, piece the other half of it off camera, and then piece half of it on camera. Oh, ow! The pin stabbed me. Bad pin. Yeah. Kate says, I miss the old So Yeah brothers that used to bust up Bernina's. Does anybody remember that? I do. Will it sew? I don't know. They were some silly guys. Jonathan said, now to find a good crab panto. I agree. Because this thing's going to be ready to quilt very, very soon. All right. Just going to press the seam that I just sewed. And then I'll hang it up behind me and we can take a look at how big it is and decide if we need to make it bigger. I think we're going to make it bigger. And we'll talk about how I may tackle that. There we go. Let's hang her up. Hang her up, Buttercup. There we go. Let me move my chair out of the way. Oh, I love the secondary design. Sometimes when you're looking at a quilt, it's better for me if I look at it in the camera lens. This is just gorgeous. It's exactly what I wanted it to do, but it feels too small. I want to make it bigger. Oh, I love it. This is exactly what I had in mind. What do you guys think? You like it? So right now this is 5 blocks across by 6 going down. Remember, there's just 2 blocks in here. You have your solid cut of your focal fabric, and then you have a strip set. And the secondary design is this right here. Isn't that great? Like, it looks like it's more complicated than it really is. So I'm loving that. And this is going to be great for some custom quilting in there. If I want to do it that way, I could do some custom quilting in the stripe sets as well. That's going to be fun. So I'm excited about that, but I think it needs to be a bit bigger. Right now, it only measures about 40 inches wide by 48 long, I think. And that's just too small for me. And I know once I add the borders, it'll be a bit bigger, but I don't know if I want to do the borders the way the pattern did. I really like that design. I think I just want to grow it a little bit more. So what I can do, a couple of things. I can add another row and I can just start to alternate, right, this row down here, and then I can sew it to that. And then I could add, I'm sorry, another column, and then I could add a row down at the bottom because I'm thinking I want one more over and one more down. What do you guys think? Let's see what you got. Yes, make it bigger. Looks great and looks like it's very easy to make. Love it. I have the book that it's in and I will take a row. I would take a row out for a baby quilt. You could do a set on each side. Yeah, you could. And that would make it really, and then I could add, if I do a set on each side, I would still need to add a row to the bottom and that would make it square. It needs to be bigger, it needs to be bigger. No borders, just add more rows and columns. Yep. I think that's a great idea, especially since I already have some crabby fabric cut out. So let's figure this out, right? we're going to go to the quilt behind me, and I'm going to look. Both the left side and the right side of this quilt are exactly the same right now, and I think I want to keep that symmetry. So if I'm going to build onto this, I'm going to want to do 2 and 2. So I'm going to build 2 columns, and then I will build 2 rows to go onto the bottom, and that's going to keep that symmetrical look that you're seeing right now, because I want the rows to start and end with the same fabric. If I do just 1 column over here, then I'm going to end with the opposite fabric, and that's not what I'm looking for. So actually, down here at the bottom row, do you see the bottom row is not starting and ending with the same fabric? That's interesting. That's very interesting. We'll figure out what we're going to do with that. But what I do know is to add 2 more columns, I'm going to need 5 total crab blocks, because one row is going to have 3, and the next row is going to have 2. Actually, the one that I'm going to put on there first would have 2, and the one next to it would have 3. So let's see how much. 1, 2, 3, 4. I only have 4 squares, so we're going to have to cut some more. So Terry says, right now the top does not match the bottom. Can't tell when it's up there. Yeah, maybe we don't care. Maybe we're just going to add 1 column, and then 1 row, and then see how we do. Either way, we're going to have to get some fabric out and do some cutting. I know I'm going to need more of the crabby fabric. Where did my crabs go? Ah, here they are. I need more of this fabric. Donna said it would be great for a quilt retreat, just saying. If I add 2 columns and 1 row, then it will be symmetrical. So if I add 2, and then it will be square too. Let's try that. We're going to add 2 columns and 1 row, then it'll be symmetrical top and bottom, left and right. It'll also be a square quilt. And if I decide I want it to not be square and I want it to grow, I can always add a couple rows to the bottom, but I'm not upset with a square quilt. All right, I know I'm going to need some more crab fabric, so we're going to go ahead and cut off a bit from this yardage, and then I'll starch it and subcut things down. I'm going to be so sad if I end up using up all this crab fabric. And look, I think I'm going to. But at least it'll be the focal, like if I use every bit of this fabric, it will have served its purpose, and it will be in a beautiful quilt that I am quite happy with. Deborah Mass says, a square quilt sounds great. I agree. Did you get the crab material from the Crabby Quilters? Yes, I did. And I need more. Send more. All right, these need to be starched. Now let's cut for our strip set. Purpose and Mindset, it will also be odd numbered columns and rows with the crab fabrics, which is great on the eye. I like where you're going. I don't know how much I'll need, so I'm just going to go ahead and cut a few strips. Hibby says, again, I'm not watching my monitor. Ah, Joanne, nice. She says, if you use it and keep it, then you still have the fabric. What mat does Becca use? I am using the Caterpillar Flip and Fold mat, which you can see right here. This thing is amazing. It unfolds to be a gigantic cutting mat, but when it's all folded up like this, I have a 12-ish by 18-ish mat. Oh, I want ice cream, Mary. Are you going to bring me some ice cream? Zaza says, the ultimate quilting oxymoron that we all suffer from, being sad that we used up all of our fabric. What iron are you using? I am using the Aliso M3 Mini Pro in the new raspberry color. 1, 2, 3. I just know for my strip sets that I'm going to need twice the amount of blue that I have for cream. So because I cut chunks, 2 chunks of white, I cut 4 chunks of the blue, and each one of these chunks will be 2. Because I'm going to have to subcut them down. But we're going to starch the strips before we subcut. Oh no, Joyce says I checked the Krabby Quilters website and it says they have 1 yard left of that fabric. Somebody grab it and send it to me. All right, let's go this way. Leanne wants to know how many watts the iron is. I don't know. Some. 1,300. Butter pecan ice cream. Butter pecan. Mary says butter pecan. I've heard others say it's butter pecan. And so I've just decided you're both wrong, and I say pecan now. Yeah, I definitely will. Zaza says you'll definitely need to keep that quilt now. You're right. I'm going to bring my pressing mat over here so I can continue to talk to y'all while I'm starching my strips of fabric. How about that? It's already starched and cut. This is what I'm doing now. No, it's not 1750. Not like yours. It's not a big bad voodoo daddy. Does the iron shut off? And if so, how long does it stay on? It does shut off, but I think it's after 30 minutes. Sandra says, I just bought a big Aliso iron with the blue cave colors. It's beautiful, and I never had an Aliso before. Congratulations. Did you try the recipe yet? Joyce is asking me. Are you talking about the nuts recipe? I had every intention of doing it, and I did not, but it is on the books for this weekend. Mary's telling me saying butter pecan is wrong. No, sounds just fine to me. Doobie doobie doo, I love starching you. Look at this beautiful fabric. I mean, can we just agree that it's gorgeous? Like, it makes me hungry. Do you think my husband will take me out for crabs? Folks are asking where Ian is tonight. Ian is at home. He will be joining me in September, but the month of August, I'm just going to be by myself. Sorry, guys. It's a lot to ask him to be on 2 live streams a week. He's got his own life too. He needs to be able to get out and hang out with his boys. What are you spraying the fabric with? Wendy is asking. I am using Best Press. Meg says, it's pecan. I was told that pecans are for little boys. Shelly says, show him the quilt and he might get hungry for crab too. I will. Jason, come look at my quilt. Do you know where I want to go for dinner? I'll give you a hint. What do you use for starch? I use Best Press. That is what I am spraying on this fabric. Shelly says, I see Maryland crab cakes. Sherry says, I love peckin'. It makes me laugh. We've got our own words over here, don't we? Verbena, boobins, peckin'. Molly said, fair enough. It's just so quiet without him and Mary in the room. I'm doing my best to fill the empty air. Dead air, dead air. Rose says, it's crabbing season on the Oregon coast. My son and his family have been crabbing for the past 2 weeks. Last week, they got 20 crabs. Haven't heard how many this week yet. John and Kelly said, peckin' is what chickens do in the yard. You're right. Bobby Miller says, I love the fabric. Me too. Gloria says, it's okay, Becca. We like having you to ourselves. Well, I appreciate that. I like having you to myself too. But don't worry, the entire month of September, Ian's going to be here. I am sure he will fall 100 times. In fact, we should do a poll on how many times Ian falls in the month of September. I know, Molly. It's nice having him here too. It's nice having Mary in the room as well, because I'm not talking to a screen and waiting 30 seconds for the replies to come through. I've got somebody to talk to in real time. There's something nice about that. Becca, you're doing really good, and I'm working with a chat, and I'm working with a chat all by yourself. Yep, I'm doing just fine. Debbie said, it's all good, Becca. We love to watch you sew. Thank you. I think next week maybe we'll do a slow stitch week. I don't know what I'll pull out, but I think it'll be a hand project. Shelly says, funny words. How about aspergrass for asparagus? Dr. Charkin says, do we win more Tula if we guessed right? Listen, what you guys didn't see is last week, just as I was ending the live, my sister was texting me, Tula, Tula, Tula. And I was like, oh, no, we're not doing Tula. Oh yeah, you will. Tiffany will be here in February, so we can have some fun then. That live will be, we'll have Ian over and it'll be the 3 of us on my live stream. That'll be fun. We'll only have one live stream together though, because I think Tiffany's only going to be here for 2 weeks, and one of those is a Friday night that will be at QuiltCon. Is there a way to Ian-proof your sewing room so when he falls, he has less of a chance of doing damage? Oh my goodness! Mary said she found an A&W in South Carolina, which is about 2 hours from her. Bobby says, I watch Ian's channel too, and if Mary had one, I'd watch her as well. Debbie says, I usually do slow stitch while watching, and tonight I'm cross stitching. Well, next week I'm going to slow stitch. You know, it's so funny. I've had this conversation with Mary. I've talked with Ian about it. I think those are the only ones that I've really talked to about it. But it's so funny to me, because they would get it, right? It's so funny that I'm into this hand stitching stuff because I never wanted to sew. And then when I started sewing, I never wanted to make a quilt. And then when I started quilting, I liked the look of vintage machines, but I wanted the modern one. And now I'm sewing in a vintage machine. And I still never wanted to hand sew. And now I'm sewing predominantly on vintage machines and I'm hand stitching as well. What? Oh yeah, that's right. You'll have a live stream for yours and Ian's channels too. That's right. See, Zaza said Mary could do a channel about organizing your sewing spaces. That would get a ton of views. Hello, Brian. He says, I was at the Krabby Quilter today and their Tula is 30% off. Their Tula was 30% off when we went a couple weeks ago too. So we definitely took advantage of that. I bought 108 by wide back of Minky. Jonathan said, I was the same. I didn't think I would get into quilting. And here you are. Bobby says there's an A&W in Wasilla, Alaska. I think you guys should come here for a visit. Hee hee hee. Nanny J21 said, I just saw an old interview with you saying you didn't like handwork. I laughed and laughed and laughed. Yeah, usually when Ian and I talk about that, he ends the conversation with, who are you? Oh, that's so funny. What fabric is that tan one? It's a batik. I don't know what batik. There's no selvage to read from because it's a batik. But you see the print when it gets wet. Isn't that great? It's great. It's great. Wait, I missed it. I missed it. What is a good idea? People are telling Mary that it's a great idea. She should go for it. What is the great idea? I want to know. Are you going to say batik differently? Oh, I should. How about we call it batik? It does look like sand, Darlene. That's why I picked it. It definitely looks like sand. In fact, in the instructions that I wrote down for how much I needed to cut, I just called it sand. Ooh, Brentwood, Tennessee. Charlotte says, Stitcher's Garden Quilt Store in Brentwood, Tennessee has some vintage pieces of Tula. Not cheap, but if you're looking for something particular from the past, you might want to check them out. Do they have a website? Oh, everybody's saying it's an organizing channel would be good for her. And Mary says, but Mary likes to be behind the scenes and not in front of the camera. We'll just have to have organizing segments with Mary while she's here. And I can do all the recording. That'd be fun if we did like an organizing series. I've told Mary if she wanted to do YouTube, because she toyed with the idea of doing a scrapbook channel. And then she just decided she didn't, I don't know why she decided not to. I think it's because she didn't want to be on camera, but I told her, I was like, people don't need to see your face. They can just see your hands. Like, you can make this the angle all day long. Good night, Brooke. Charlotte says it's just outside of Nashville. Shelly says, I remember Mary shaking her booty on camera. Okay, Mary, we'll make it happen. We'll do a small series on getting yourself organized next time you come up. We'll record that together. Ooh, Ooh, Jake says tomorrow is a craft crawl in my city and I am so excited. I'm excited for you. Cynthia says, I love my wool mat, but I scorched it ironing over and over in the same spot with no fabric under my iron on small squares. I've done that too, and I haven't done it yet, but what I also have done is made just like a sleeve out of just some solid fabric so that the sleeve gets all of the starch that I'm spraying and all of the, that's what gets junky. And then I can just toss that in the wash and it makes my mats last a bit longer. Zaza is asking Mary for recommendations of places to visit in the Carolinas in February. Auntie L. Handmaid said, I volunteer my sewing room as a subject for Mary to organize. Netta is asking if Best Press makes my iron sticky. It does not. Oh, yeah, I actually went there, Jacqueline. She's saying there's an A&W in Ortonville not too far from Q's Quilting. Yep, we stopped there during the Michigan shop hop. After we went to Q's, I think. Or it might have been before, but it was right, we stopped there. I even bought a mug. Oh, there is. Day said there's also an A&W in Marysville out by me. Oh, sweet. I'm planning a trip up to Michigan in May. So all of those A&W locations are going to be put to good use. Sasa said, Mary, if you want a free holiday in Scotland, you could come organize my craft room. Oh no, Leanne says the closest A&W to her closed on July 13th due to poor management. I know. Mary says she needs another root beer float. I agree, me too. There's something about the root beer floats with the soft serve ice cream. It's just not the same with the hand scooped. What is A&W? It is a fast food restaurant that serves root beer and hot dogs and that stuff. Shelly So says there is an A&W in Piqua, Ohio, and the All Ohio Shop Hop is going on August through September. No, I don't know. I know I had A&Ws in Michigan. It was all like they were all over the place. But they seem to be not as popular out this way as they used to be. Bye, Kathy. Dr. Kathy Smith said, I gotta go. I'll pick up the rest tomorrow. Enjoy. Bye. Oh my gosh. Day said, I just enjoyed an A&W root beer float. Quite tasty too. Root beer. My husband loves it, but he likes pickles too. An A&W root beer that has the frosty mug, please. Yes. Oh, Sherry says the original A&W was not too far from where she grew up. Where is that? Megan says A&W is Canadian-based chain, so they are more popular the further north you go. Oh, California. Lodi, California. Or is that Lodi, Canada? A&W Michigan used to have car hops on roller skates. Yes, they would come to serve you in the car. Yep. I remember the one on Telegraph by Goddard downriver. That was a good one. We used to go to that one. But then there was also the one on Eureka Road by Fort Street. My car broke down at that one. The battery stopped working. I couldn't get it started back up. That was great. Joan says the A&W here in Illinois is associated with Long John Silver. We found one in Charlestown, West Virginia while we were shop hopping, an A&W, and it's actually in the same building as a Long John Silver. Nancy Jean number 2 says their A&W is combined with a Long John Silver as well. I wonder, Day, if the one that's about an hour from you is the one in Ortonville, because I think they have a drive-through at that one. Missouri, that's a place I want to go. Let's all meet in Missouri and have a Missouri Star retreat. That'd be fun. I only have one more piece of fabric to starch, and then I can start subcutting and putting this together. But I'm going to tell you, it's not going to be finished on the live stream tonight. Though you have seen what the steps are to do this, and now you know what I'm doing to make it bigger and make it my own. So I'm going to probably finish starching this, and then we're going to pop over to Facebook. We're going to see what you're up to, and we all know that as soon as I open that Facebook page and start looking through all of the things that you've been posting, I'm going to start yawning. In fact, there it goes. Just talking about Facebook makes me yawn. Gotcha. Day says the one she's talking about is north. Julie says, I'm in for a retreat in Missouri. Me too, let's go. Jake says, does anyone have any recommendations for quilt things in Boston? I'm going there next month. Oh, they're going to do a retreat in Missouri. Tracy, Di, and April are all going to be holding a retreat in Missouri at Missouri Star. Awesome. Is that where their last one was? I don't remember. I didn't think it was. Holly said, most of the time you can check most sealed food items. Just not sure how well carbonated items travel as it's thrown around with the luggage crew. How do you find out about quilt contests? Usually I'll just keep my eye out for shows and I'll look to see. But if I'm being completely honest with you, I don't pay any attention. Ian tells me when I should enter a quilt. I just listen to him. Andrea says, anyone who has been praying for my husband's job situation, he is currently filling out withholding forms. Yes, awesome. You know, I think it is, Jonathan. He said, is the Mid-Atlantic the biggest shop hop? It currently has over 125 stores this year. Yeah, I would not be surprised if it was. All right, that is starched. So Don't forget Facebook. We're going to pop over there in just a minute. I'm just going to get my stuff situated. Oh boy. Leaking gluten. I need to wipe my thing down because it's got moisture. Oh, good. Here, this will work. All that moisture from the pressing. Okay. Whoop! Oh, how much fabric is needed for the quilt seed sew-along? Let's calculate it together, shall we? I got another set while we're waiting. These are the 4 that we're going to be doing, the star blocks. We will calculate together the fabric requirements, but then I bought 2 more sets. I have the flower baskets. There are 4 of those. And then there are 9 of the ones in the house. I just think the packaging is stinking cute. Okay, let's see what the back of these say. Oh boy. Okay. For block number 1, nope, that's 2. That's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. For block number 1, this one, it says on the back that you're going to need a 10-inch square of 5 different colors, a fat eighth of 2 fabrics, a 1/4 yard of 4 different fabrics, and then other is a 1/3 of a yard of latte. And these make really big blocks. They're like 24, 25 inches by themselves. So there's that one. For block number 2, you'll need 3 10-inch squares, a fat eighth of 3 different colors, a 1/2 yard of 2 fabrics, and then for other, you'll need a 1/4 yard cut, a 1/3, yeah. It's all in the back of the envelopes when you buy the pattern. And if you look for the pattern online, it'll tell you what the fabric requirements are. I'm not going to sit here and read off what they all are. Get yardage. I don't know. Yep. Where can you buy those at? I will give you a link. Give me a moment. Just give me a moment. Oof. Oh gosh. Ugh. You know what? I'm not going to hunt down the link, but what I will do is if you want the link, email me and I will send it to you. And after the live stream's over, I'm going to put it in the description box down below. So you can either come back and rewatch the video or you can email me and I'll send it directly to you. Okay, let's go ahead and do some sew and tell. All right, we are good. Let's see what we've got going on in the Facebook group. Yes, Leslie, I use Best Press at full strength. All right, we're going to go down and turn this on to new post. Sharon says, I got hurt at work and I'm learning to sew using my left foot. It's definitely challenging for me. I did get these 3 quilt tops done for our guild donation. Michelle likes the idea of a slow sew. I finished these on tonight's live, requested by my granddaughter, mini quilts for her bedroom. Bobby did this for her very tall son who is holding it for pictures. Wow, he is tall. That's beautiful. Ashley says she finished this quilt top this week. It is for a friend's new baby. Uh-oh, Becky says, I have caught the bug. Look at you go. So fun. Nicely done. Judy says, I'm collecting clappers. I am 3 months behind on my monthly blocks. Cool weather on Monday to sew. Blocks will be done then. Hey, enjoy the weather while you can. Buffalo Bob finished this quilt this week from a picture of one block with no measurements or pattern info. Nicely done. Ooh, Clint, I'm still loving what you're doing there. He said he's continuing to work on his Catch Me quilt. The unit will be an outer ring with intersecting star points when chapter 3 is done. 2 down and 2 more to go. I'm documenting my progress on my channel, so thanks to those who had kind words on the live stream tonight. Clint, what's your live stream? Like, in the Facebook group, put the link to your YouTube channel in the comments of that post so people can get to it. Anne-Marie said she finished her Shine On quilt binding tonight she used Lighthearted Conversion. I can't believe it's finally done. This quilt meant so much to me. Every time I look at it, I'll remember sewing and laughing with my sweet SG. Yvette Davidson says, finally finished the Core Memories quilt for my grandson Trey. He will get it in mid-September for his birthday. Also, I made a bag for his mom for her birthday party tomorrow night and getting ready to make another one for my daughter. Their birthdays are just 1 day apart. Hope I get the second one made in time. Maureen finished up a Christmas pillow for her youngest granddaughter. Oh, wow, I love this. Jean says she just sent this baby off to her quilter this morning. The pattern is Foundation Paper Piece by Jen Kingwell's Point Addis pattern. She calls it her Christmas, not so Christmas quilt, just Christmas colors, not necessarily themed fabric. And she is Nanny J21 in the chat. Wow, Jerry, this is great. She made this for her mother. She said, be quiet, it's a surprise. The pattern is mini petals. Hopefully she's not watching. Tilda Free pattern. This is the Egg Lady, and she finished this while watching tonight. Deb says she finished this last night and hopes to find a frame for it this weekend. Day finished this a few hours ago. She just needs to square it, bind it, and put on a label. I love that. It's so cute. That's great. Karen says, day 2 of my first retreat is just closing. I finished a professional tote patterned by Creative Thimbles. Nice. Hope you're enjoying your retreat. Elizabeth said, this is Storm at Sea. It's a table runner. My first time in 32 years of doing a flange binding, and I love it. Should have done a small border as my binding cut off some of my points. Oh well, still pretty. Let's refresh and see if anybody else posted recently in the group. Lily is working on her bag making skills and FPP at the same time. I like that block. I have that pattern. Roberta says she is not sewing tonight. She's just organizing. I still have a purple tote to take care of and another bookcase to spread out some. And then we're back to Sharon's post. We'll refresh and see what else comes in. Oh, that's it. Yay. All right. I think that is going to do it for me, folks. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I am going to go enjoy the rest of the evening with my husband, get some rest, and then work on finishing this bad boy in the morning. Don't forget, if you have a YouTube channel that you would like for people to check out, just type !selfie in the live chat. That will have the bot drop your link. And tomorrow, just as a reminder, Sean does have a live stream in the morning from The Guy Who Sews, so you can go check him out. And then Tiffany and Ian will have their live streams on Sunday. So lots of fun still here to have on YouTube if you're looking for someone to quilt with. Until next week, friends. What did I say in this week's video? Make something beautiful? Yeah, go make something beautiful. I'll see you guys all later. Bye!